Hey folks, how's it going? Let me just try and make this all groovy here. Hey guys, how you doing? As we meet again. Yes. Let's see. Just gonna change the patch on my guitar here. I think I've got something up here. Just give me a second, guys. Just try and sort this out. There we go. All right. Goldfish snacks. So what do we got going on here today? How you guys doing? You hanging in there? It's been another week of whatever this is. I have been writing a lot. I have been writing in a way that I think is really exciting, and I look forward to being able to share it with you guys. It's I'm on about 20, 25 songs now, I guess, and it's been interesting because typically what happens with a record is it takes me a little while and a lot of writing to try and identify what it is that I'm trying to achieve. And right now, it's taken a very interesting turn in that after experimenting with some heavier stuff and some mellow stuff and some commercial sounding stuff and all these things, it's gone down this really interesting sort of alien abstract road that also is easy to remember melodically, and I'm really excited about it actually. What else been going on? Management companies and record labels, everybody is trying to get me to confirm tours now, and so I've said yes to tours that I'm sure won't happen. So there's that. Um, I've been working on a bunch of products with a bunch of companies. I've been finishing up. I did all interviews today, and yeah, man, it's been interesting. So, does anybody have any questions today? Let's see. I'm hoping that although I'm a little less prepared for today's stream than I have been in the past, maybe I can answer some questions. How have my farts been? Innocuous. So I stopped drinking coffee again, believe it or not. And I have been using my juicer, which I like, and I've been trying to, stay active enough as one can do during these times. And I think my health is in a pretty good place, and my brain is in a pretty good place, and my farts are just not particularly great. Yes, T. Why not visit Latin America in the future? I'd love to. I know Peter Tatgren. Yeah, coffee. Let's see. Are you due for some goldfish and guitar noodling? Yeah. Here, let's see what the first goldfish today will inspire. Functional. I just spit too. Seems like it's inspiring a bunch of stuff in C. And this is not surprising. Farts are great. So let me see, how do I slow this down? I've been trying to learn your intro part to Love, someone says. Oh, where it's in the background, very verby. All right, so I'll show you that. Okay, it goes. that is the 9th fret. 9 open open. It just alternates with those open strings. So it's just and then the 9 goes up to 12, and then 11, 7, then harmonics. Or that's the part. So, people have been asking some questions here. Let me go through. Love the streaming concert. Your friends had a blast. That's nice. Thank you. Coffee is the only sin in your life. I don't know if that's a huge sin. All right. So, what's your favorite vegan food? Oh, anything with gravy. Everything's just a vehicle for gravy and hot sauce for me, man. Hey, Dev, have you tried yogi teas? Yes, I have. I bought oolong tea last night and it was all right. Pretzel goldfish pog. Just jacking around playing video games. Thanks for the background noise today. Yeah, farts are great, someone says. Someone says, let's see, Dev, I've been trying to learn your... Okay, that's that. We've already gone through this. How's it going, Happy Pants Land, Dev? Need a wet sound for the dry fish. Anything in particular that triggered your break from social media as outlined in the New Black podcast? Yeah. I think it was my break from social media, and it's not like I'm taking a break from the interactions because I'm certainly participating with whoever is sending me mails to the best way that I can. Thank you again, brother, for the donation. That's awesome. But I think I just got to the point where I started recognizing that the quality of my life was being compromised in a period that is already very difficult by this onslaught of media that demands my attention. A lot of times is structured in ways that is very addictive or very much plays into your bias or what have you, to the point where you're feeling like the limited amount of energy that we have during this period is being relegated to things that I have no control over. And it just seems like, why not do yourself a favor and step away from it and see what happens? And by stepping away from participating in the feeds and social media, I found that strangely life has carried on. So all those things that demand my attention and my time, like you wake up in the morning, it's like, did you hear about this? Or did you hear about this? I guess I was under the impression that in absence of participating with it daily, that at some point I would just cease to be informed enough and I wouldn't be prepared. Yet, after a month or so, life has just continued. And it makes me realize, I guess, that a lot of these things that I had taken into consideration as being essential for my well-being to be informed about are actually just a distraction. So, I don't know if it's something that's sustainable, but I certainly have been enjoying not being confronted by that level of perpetual morning negativity. So I'm going to read some other questions. What delay reverb are you using? I typically use a chain of reverbs and delays, whether or not I'm jamming or if it's in the studio or anything. And what that usually entails is I start with, I guess I'm not using this microphone, so it doesn't matter. I start with an analog delay that I take a lot of the low end off of, and I give it about a 75% repeat at about 420 milliseconds, some flutter. And then from there, I run it into maybe an 8-second, 10-second reverb with a bit of pre-delay, and I also filter a lot of the low end off of that. And then from there, I run it into a ping pong delay without a lot of high end and with a lot of repeats, maybe set to about 300 milliseconds. Try that. It's super groovy. Okay, next question. Okay, so how does this work? Seems like the scroll for this. Oh, I could do it this way. All right. Aha. I see. All right. I've been following you adamantly since I heard the Ween cover. Jamming along on my Squire Classic Vibe thin line telly as well. Expect more bits soon. Certainly. Thank you. Singularity Empath as a whole has lifted me through some very dark times recently. I can't thank you enough for that. You're so welcome. I'm learning to play guitar and better my voice, and you're a part of that inspiration and motivation. Not a question, just thank you. You're so welcome. Someone says it's all bullshit, except for that stuff that isn't, I suppose. Hey, Devin, what inspired you to play 7 strings on records like Synkestra and ZTO? Friends with the Meshuggah guys, and I had toured with them, and it seemed really interesting. And so I sort of dipped my feet into that and had some fun working on it. But then after a while, I realized that me being me doesn't necessarily need a whole lot of 7 strings, so I only use it sparingly. Someone asks, how do you play the main riff in Borderlands? I could show you that. Give me a second. My day, again, has been so full of interviews and chaos that I'm not set up for much here today, and I apologize. I just wanted to at least get one of these in this week, so we're still participating. But the next one will be a little more comprehensive. So the riff for Borderlands in open C tuning, the first notes are the open G, so you do 2 of those, ding, ding, and then on the low string, 2, 4, 5, 6. So that's the riff. Ding, 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 ding. Then you do a hammer on. Right, so. And then that's an octave on the 4th fret. There you go. In fact, that's that. What book are you reading? Is it any good? I'm reading, on recommendation of somebody, Autobiography of a Yogi. And it is good, but it's a slog. That thin line telly. That's actually not a thin line. It is a Sadowski Telecaster, one that I really, really enjoy. And when I was in America on the last ill-fated tour, when we got to Pensacola Beach in Florida, I really love a lot of that area. So I just got a bunch of Pensacola stickers. Are goldfish your breakfast? No. For breakfast this morning, I had an ambrosia apple cut into little chunks. I had some fun-free breakfast cereal that is equivalent to eating little pieces of bark mulch with almond milk because, why not go full hippie? And I also had a muffin. I had a blueberry muffin. All right, so is there a way to scroll this without it going bananas here? Okay. Okay, let's see. Do you like conspiracies? Nope, I do not. Are you still working with Samus? Yes. Let's see. Hi, everybody. That's a great statement to read. How do you play the twiddly bit in Wandering Eye when Ziltoid is talking? I have no idea. Zero idea. A lot of the work that I do, so how I function is I write it, I learn how to play it, I record it, and then I promptly forget it. Maybe so there's room for something new. And then I just hire guitar players that typically have their straps higher than me and ask them to play it. And then I give them the files and say, if you could just learn this too, that'd be great. In the song Total Collapse, what made you take the part from Ziltoid Goes Home? You're running away from me. I tend to be self-referential with the material based on the idea that ultimately all the work is an extension of one motif. And that motif was established from a very early age. And I guess it could be best summarized as I'm trying to unpeel the layers of the onion of my personality so that I am participating with my true nature ultimately. Whether I ever get there is an entirely different subject, but a lot of the work ends up just being essentially those layers being shed, whether or not it's SYL or Synkester or anything. And so when it comes to the self-referential parts of it, it is often that I find myself in the creative process having a new insight to either an old problem or an old situation. And typically those situations have been accompanied by some sort of melody just through my life. That's just kind of how that has worked. And so when I have a new insight to that, that melody coming back adds, it's like it underlines that particular sentiment. So I tend to be self-referential when I have found new ways of looking at these problems. All right. 2 p.m. is better for you? No, that is just because it's today. I have had a phenomenally busy couple of weeks, and I have been writing so much. And the biggest problem with writing for me is when I start to write, that's all I want to do. And it's very easy for me to lose myself in that and like disregard all my life responsibilities. And I've said it a million times, but the audience that allows me to do this is why I can do this. So today 2 p.m. seemed to make sense because I have a window here between 2 and 3. At 3 o'clock today, I've got a bunch of work I got to do. So that's just for today, and I'm not set up. So fun free, yes, that's my cereal. Is a signature tutu coming yet? Wow, that would be tragic for all involved. I had an idea for a merch item that I proposed to the merch company that I work with, and they promptly said no. Maybe you guys can give me your impression on this. They said, no way, that's the worst idea we've ever heard. And maybe in hindsight it is. But I thought it would be cool to have pre-stained underpants that had a little pocket right in the crotch. So if you left your hotel room, you could put your passport in it, and no one would want to rifle through your shitty undies in thoughts that your passport would be there. And the name for this product would be Sharts. They said no. All right. Come to Brazil someday. I would love to. Thanks for sharing time with you. You're so welcome. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to figure out how. Okay, chat pause due to scroll. Are you happy with the stuff that you're writing, or is it just something you need to get out to go deeper and find the next thing? That's exactly what this is. A lot of times finding where I'm at requires me purging where I'm not. And I think because I am still very human and very prone to my own delusions, I tend to not know where I'm at until I've sort of dug around for a while. So right now, I've written dozens and dozens and dozens of songs, and I think I'm almost upon a theme, like musically and aesthetically, that's really going to work for me. And until such time that solidifies into a group of songs, I'm just going to keep writing. The other day I wrote something that was like super abstract and super bizarre, and then here, it's only coming through my GoPro camera here because I'm not set up today, but for example, I wrote this for no reason whatsoever the other day, and I got Morgan to play on it, but I haven't. Let's see if that's... So I want the drums to be like... Anyway, but will that be used? Like, doubtful. All right. So, and then I wrote something also the other day. This is just coming through again, the GoPro camera. I wrote this. So I asked Morgan to play a drum solo, and then I would write a song to his drum solo. And so this is what came out 2 days ago. It's, again, is it going to be useful? I doubt it, but let's see. Let's see. It's like, so basically every day I just write something, you know, like, and it's just all a bunch of stuff right now, right? So it's endless, 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 endless things. As I look down this list, it's just endless things. But that's how I end up writing. I just keep every day. I just get it out of my system, and then usually things end up sort of emulsifying into an aesthetic at some point, and it's not there yet, right? So, okay, let's see where we are here. This one is Lion King as fuck. Someone says there's a delay on, perhaps. Yes, there's always delay on what I do. Are you going to release the quarantine concerts on DVD? I missed because I had to work. I've been asked that a lot, and I would love to be able to give an unequivocal answer to that. But there's a bunch of things to consider that I'm trying to do so. And I think the main thing is it might be cool to put out something in one place that's all the quarantine concerts. So I'm working on the new one now, the rarities one, which we're putting up the poll for tomorrow, I think. And I've got another acoustic one after that. And so at this point there'll be six quarantine concerts that will be done. And then who knows how long this goes on? There may end up being 12. And at that point it'd be cool to have it out. But one thing that I want to make sure is that whoever wants it can hear it without having to just pay for it, right? So the other part of the equation now is setting up the next quarantine concert, which is on October 24th, and that is one that you don't have to pay for unless you can. And that's going to be interesting. So I'm doing another green screen thing for that, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be as in space and that. It's going to be something that's a little more ghetto. How about a Christmas concert? Yeah, I'm happy to do a Christmas concert. That's actually a really good idea. What if the next one after the rarities one is a Christmas concert? What would you guys want for a does this guitar light up too? I'll show you the one that lights up. What would you want for a Christmas concert? What would be cool? Give me some ideas as to what would be a cool way to do a Christmas concert. We could maybe do it green screen. We could maybe have it with like a bunch of reindeer in masks. I don't know. So here's the one with the lights. So it's a little bright in here. So for those who asked, this one lights up like that, right? Huh? Supposed to be your chakra, man. Ended up being more of a pride flag, but either way is totally cool. So that isn't the only one with lights on it. This is true. Santa Dev. Okay, reindeers, masks on reindeers in masks. That would be Reindeerception. Ziltoid's Christmas special. That's a good idea. Wonder if we could do it like a Christmas telethon. You know what I mean? Like they used to have those telethons in Christmas where they'd have a bunch of people that would come on for a 48-hour period and just sing and dance. That would be fun, actually. We could have some super extended Christmas concert that maybe took into consideration other performers that I could find a way for them to participate as well. That'd be cool. We could do it for like a children's charity or something. That'd be cool. I'll consider that. Halloween concert. Okay, well, so I was thinking of doing it on the 24th, but because that's the Saturday before Halloween. Because if we did it at Halloween, it would just be, everybody's so busy that day anyway. It's like fake snow everywhere. Good. Non-denominational New Year's concert. I like it. In War Princess, did you use a Star Wars creature sound effect in the intro? Yes, but it wasn't intentionally trying to use Star Wars sound effects. I had a folder full of movie samples that the keyboard player during the Strapping Young Lad New Black period had made. And I think he sampled like Matrix and War of the Worlds and Star Wars. And so, yes, I grabbed it thinking that no one would possibly be able to tell in the din that there's a Star Wars sample there, but clearly there is. So if my career ends as a result of that, then I stand with my hands up and say, yep, that was me. Sorry. Can you talk about how record labels work? Do you own your own music? Do you get permission? Do you have to get permission to officially write an album? Well, that's actually a good question. It's not as cut and dried as anything. When I first started and I was trying to function as an artist, I had such specific ideas, and they're the ones that I've been fortunate enough to be able to articulate over the past 20 some odd years. But at that time, there weren't as many people who hung in the balance of the decisions that someone like myself makes. And so at that point, I could just do whatever. I would throw out a record here and a record there, and I would put out City, and then I'd follow it with Ocean Machine, and I'd follow it with DevLab, and it was really haphazard, and I didn't have a necessarily an active audience at that time, so it didn't really matter. But this is also the reason why I felt my career moved laterally for so many years, is because I didn't have a trajectory that was based on any sort of plan. It was just sort of shooting from the hip, and there's a romanticism to that, but there's not a huge elegance to it. So when I met the new management company, the first thing that they decided to do was impose some sort of parameters on me. And these are things that I asked them to do. As much as it may seem like it compromises your creative freedom to have these parameters, what also compromises creative freedom is having too much freedom. If you don't have some guidelines, it's very easy just to sort of go too far in one direction or vaporize and disappear up your backside, as I'm wont to do. So now I have the creative freedom in that I write whatever I want to write, but I give people a heads up at this point. And that's basically the only difference. So now that I'm writing this light work album, which is really it's going to be a really, really potentially incredible record, but I'm giving everybody in my professional world a year's notice. I'm like, this is what it's going to be. This is what the aesthetic is going to be. This is what the plan I have for it live. And you've got a year before it is actualized. And that allows us to play ball with each other. And I think that's what a relationship ends up being at this point. Maybe in the 80s, artists could get away with saying, I'm just going to do it like this, and it's my way or the highway. But now I rely on the management, and they rely on me, and I rely on the label, and they rely on me. And if we're not able to communicate openly and effectively with each other, then we're just shooting each other and ourselves in the foot. So there's a certain amount of it. But, Oh, someone says, can you show us how to do the opening riff for All Hail the New Flesh? All right, so basically that there is, it's 4-3-2 open as a pull-off. So, and then you do that twice. And then the next note is 2 and then 3 on the next string. So it's... And then it goes to that chord, which is basically a power chord, but in open C tuning, it ends up being suspended, right? Then the pre-chorus is the same thing. It's the same chord. It's just on the 3rd fret. And that's open 7-7, starting on the 2nd string. I'm so sorry, sorry. Oh. And that's just a power chord, which in open C tuning it would be 4-4-4, and then 8-8-8. New flesh, And that chord is starting on the second string, 3, open, 3, open. You can even throw that top one in there. There you go. Are you going to unbox the Empath Order of Magnitude? Magnitude, sorry. Yes, I haven't got my copy yet, but I'm excited about it. It's funny, we put so much effort into every product, and I feel bad sometimes for the artists that I choose to work with, like the graphic artists, because I'm your weird old Uncle Dev, so I'm from the generation where LPs and artwork were really important to me. So uh, it's hand in hand with the concept of the work. What I'm trying to produce with these albums is a world to escape to, in some sense. So like when you see an intense, fantasy movie or something, it's I like the idea that the albums and the way that they flow give you a place to escape to for a while. And so artwork is really important in that it becomes like the world, right? Like when you're participating in the product, I guess you want to look at it that way. You're looking at like a real inclusive and immersive environment. So the order of magnitude as well, like we spent a ton of time on that one, and the Empath Ultimate Edition, ton of time. In fact, for Lightwork, the album that I'm working on now, I've started art. I started art for that prior to having even the first song. Someone asked, totally random, but have you heard of Opeth? Yes, I have actually shat in Michael's toilet many a time. When I was writing Empath, I went to Sweden because I got a bunch of friends in Sweden, and one of whom is Michael, whom I care for very deeply. And he invited me to stay at his house, and we went there and listened to vinyl, as I'm sure you would, if you're a fan of Opeth, you would not find surprising. And people have often said, oh, you and Michael should write a song together. But I think the thing that makes him and I get along so well is that we're both children. So he had a computer set up, and we wrote a song that is still on his computer that is worse than any demo that you would have heard. It's unbelievably bad. And I keep asking him if he can send it to me so I can put it out. But he keeps claiming that he can't find it. But I think he just knows that it's as bad as it truly is, right? Let's see. Other questions here. Would you ever do a tour with Fear Factory or the Deftones? I've toured with Fear Factory a lot. And Deftones, I know the guys. And they're, one thing I'll say about that band is there's a band that have kept their heads on their shoulders. They're really good, normal people. I really like those guys. All right. Let's see some other questions here. I'm supposed to be married on the 5th of September, but COVID moved our wedding. Would you say hi to my supposed-to-be Mrs. Ryle? All right. Happy marriage to you. Happy marriage to you. Happy marriage, dear Mrs. Ryle. So sorry you guys couldn't get that happening. Happy marriage to you. Maybe that's something we need to do on the side. Maybe I need to figure out how to write a marriage song. On the Genesis video, in the section with the cats, did you deliberately put the octopus there as the 8th cat, octopus? Well, because that's clever, I'm going to go ahead and claim that it was my idea, but between me, you, and the wall, no. But yeah, oh yeah, dude. I think for a minute I hadn't thought of that already. There's a lot of questions here. I'm sort of skipping through, sorry. Oh, and it moves. How do you pause it? All right. Hey, Dev, I've had a pretty shitty week. Can I have some encouragement, please? Sure. Let's think. How can I encourage someone who's had a shitty week? The one thing that springs to mind with encouraging someone who's had a terrible week is that you're not alone. And that sounds like a tired platitude, because a lot of times when people are suffering from depression, the knee jerk from people who don't have that, thank you for the donation, is you're not alone. And it can be very easy to view that as empty, because specifically with clinical depression, it's a psychological affliction that is based in a chemical imbalance. I'm talking about like clinical depression, and any number of platitudes are not going to do anything. However, when I say you're not alone, I mean, if there's anything in this age of divisiveness that we're living through right now that does unite us, is that we're all having to deal with this. As much as I am in a very fortunate position to be able to have this as my job, and I take that very seriously, my life is full of the same stresses that, for the most part, yours is. You know, the divisiveness in terms of society, and I got kids in school, and aging parents, and the anxieties and money problems, and the unknown. And the West Coast is on fire right now. So, where I live in Vancouver, we're under a cloud of particulate that's difficult for breathing, and anxiety as well. But regardless, we find our ways through it, and I find my way through it. And the way that I take the most strength from this situation that allows me to traverse this is knowing that I'm not alone with these struggles. And it seems like a strange thing to take strength from, that there's more suffering in the world, but knowing that there's other people that are also getting through it, knowing that there's other people that also have kids, and we're all dealing with this situation. Seeing other people not give up compels me to do the same, and then hopefully for those in a situation like myself, where you've got a public platform to a certain extent, by proxy people can see that it's a chain reaction. It helps me not give up because I see others not give up, and then hopefully it can help others not give up by seeing myself or anybody else in my position do the same. So don't think for a minute that anybody feels like your anxiety or your discontent is needing to be trivialized. It's not. But hang in there, because everybody else is. Well, not everybody, but there's that. Okay, let's see. Any updates on the Empath tab books? So they're finished. Hooray! And they've been sent to me. Hooray! To find time to check. Hooray! So I've been given Guitar Pro 7. I'm looking at it right here. I installed it a few days ago. And I now have the arduous task of going through it and confirming that it's right. And I just honestly haven't had the time yet. But they're done. So this is a step in the right direction. And it's for bass as well. Okay. People are suggesting people that I would work with here. But before I do, how do I get a cigarette smell out of a guitar, someone asks. Maybe just fill your room with cigarette smoke so you can't focus it from coming out of the guitar. I don't know. If you didn't have to use frameless guitars, what would you use right now? Well, the reason why I use frameless guitars is because they're perfect for me. Absolutely perfect. I got to design it. I designed the body shape for this. I designed everything about this. I designed the pickups. I designed where the switches go. I designed everything about this guitar to be exactly what I need to do my work. So it's perfect for me. So I have no desire or need to use another guitar. However, if I did, there's been a couple guitars that have been sent to me to try out recently, and they've all been really good. One of which is an Aristides guitar, and I think it's a fantastic guitar. Just a really, really cool guitar. I love the attention to detail. Here, I'll show it to you. 2 seconds. So they made this one, and it's this really beautiful. The attention to detail, like this little bevel here and all this stuff. You know, I'll be sending it back to them at some point. But I really appreciate trying it out, and it's really a gorgeous guitar. I really enjoy it. It's not quite what I go for in a lot of ways. I mean, I didn't, you know, if I've designed a guitar to be specific to my needs, it's never going to be that. But it's fantastic, and also the company Prestige, who makes the acoustic guitars that I use, have provided me one of their electric guitars recently to take for a whirl, and that was a really well-made guitar too. And this one here is Sadowski. I've been using this forever. In fact, before I committed to Framus, I was on the fence as to whether or not I would commit to Sadowski or Framus. But in a weird turn of fate, Sadowski is now produced by Framus. So I contacted Framus recently, or Warwick at least, and I said, hey, seeing you guys are all under the same umbrella, is it okay if I use this guitar live? And they said yes, so bonus, right? What a surprise, someone says. A sky blue guitar. Yes, that's the TO model, someone asks. Let's see. Hi, Deb. I cannot afford the Stormbetter guitar from Framus and would like to know your opinion on the ESP SH7 with Evertune bridge as a cheaper substitute. I was with ESP guitars for almost 20 years. I did a Telecaster with them. I worked with ESP forever. And I think they're gorgeous, beautiful guitars. And I think that I knew them when they were just a tiny little shop on Sunset Strip there. And Matt Misiandaro, who is, I guess, like the big cheese in there now, is it was just his little shop. And so I worked with them for years, and they've gotten to the point now where, although I haven't tried that specific guitar, their quality control is fantastic. So I can't imagine not recommending that. Someone says super clean looking. Yeah, I think that's the thing about that Aristides guitar that I really enjoy. Although it's not exactly right for me, the way that they make it with the injection molding, it's like so perfect. Like the attention to detail is so perfect that it does my OCD, or my, what I'll call just jokingly OCD, a real favor to look at it and not find any flaws. Like any flaws. It's incredible. I love that. Someone asked, you never answered about Igor collaboration. Yeah, okay, I was going to say about the collaboration. You're right, sorry about that. I don't want to collaborate with anybody. I hope that doesn't come across as arrogantly as I'm sure it does. Because my reason for saying that is not because I feel like I'm better than them. Let me just... You can fuck off. It's just that I've got a head full of music. My life is complicated in a lot of ways right now, as is everybody's here. And so I just have no desire to work with another artist right now. Maybe at some point. I purchased an ESP with Evertune, and they can vouch for its great quality. So there you go. Somebody else has asked or responded there. Let's see. What's the strangest interaction you've ever had with somebody? Well, that's, you could write a book about that. I think after you've been doing this job for a certain amount of time, strange interactions become just part of the social norm. I don't find myself too taken back by some of the strange things that I have experienced now. Maybe when I was younger, I'd be like, wow, that was weird. But I think a lot of my work benefits greatly from me getting over strange experiences now. And I think the best defense over the strangeness of it all is to keep yourself focused and to keep yourself disciplined psychologically. I think in the past I was guilty of allowing myself to let my randomness, that is certainly a part of my creative identity, run rampant. And unless I put a leash on it, unless I'm able to sort of allow my left brain to be actualized and my right brain to participate in that as a team, I become really unbalanced. And when I do get unbalanced, my work will reflect that. And it's not that that's not interesting sonically. It's just that ultimately, um, my intentions here, as I've said many times, is to try and figure myself out and make myself as strong as I can be psychologically. So doing things that knowingly put me at a deficit in terms of psychological balance, just it's like a martyr thing that I don't have a lot of patience for. All right. Let's see. Are all of your guitars tuned to open C? Not all of them. Some of them are open B, some of them are drop D, and some of them are standard. But I don't collect guitars. I only have a few guitars, and then the rest of them I either sell or give away because I just it takes up too much room in my world to have more than I really need. However, I do admit that as the career changes and as things grow, the things get congested pretty quick. So I find myself with more than I had at one point in terms of instruments, but most of them are in OpenSea. Who is the artist behind Empath album art? That is Anthony Clarkson. He also did Z2. He did Epicloud. He did Transcendence. I had a really good run with Anthony, and I think he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm going in a different direction for the new record, but Anthony is available too if you're interested in working with him. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, here's a good question. Hey, Dev, here's a question I really wanted to know. If you could write a whole new strapping record, what would you imagine it like? Really extreme like the other strapping records, or would it take a completely different route? I talked to Jed about what it would sound like, and I wonder if it would be acoustic and country, like some weird folk thing. I know it's absurd to think, but if you're following your creative inclinations to the nth degree, and if your objective is to make them real in the most accurate possible format in which it follows your growth, like I think that's where, as dudes, we've ended up in a lot of ways. Oh, if someone says saying the phrase "I talked to Jed" automatically made happen. Oh man, here's the thing with strapping. I love all those guys. They're all friends of mine. It's there's no anything. There's no drama whatsoever. That doesn't exist because the time doesn't warrant it existing for me. But to not participate with people whom I care about for fear of people interpreting that participation as being an indicator of a reunion is absurd to me. I participate with them because I love them. It's got nothing to do with, well, I'm afraid people will think that we're putting a band back together, therefore we shouldn't have coffee together. No, these are good friends of mine. Let's see. Thank you for these compliments. That's nice. And the comments as well. That's cool too. Let's see. Someone says, can you say hi to my friend John? Hey, John. How's the music box instrument building thing going? So I had a discussion with a manufacturer called Dr. Scientist based out of Vancouver. And on my list as well is to answer the mail that they sent me back 2 months ago saying the ways that they could make that happen for me. But I think that somebody explained something the other day that I thought was a really good method as well to try and organize your thoughts. They had folders on their phone that had 4 different, like A, B, C, D. And what those categories were meant to define for him was their level of importance, their level of concern that they need to have over them. So as my work has progressed, and as pandemic and COVID and everything has progressed, my daily workload has gotten extreme. But within that, there's certain things that are really important, things that are reasonably important, and things that I can let sit for a while. And if I don't relegate them to some sort of priority between all of them, what ends up happening is it all becomes a cable soup in my head, and none of it gets done. So those four categories allow me to say, okay, right now, for example, the tab book is in C. It needs to be done, but it's not as pressing as getting the drum tracks for the next quarantine concert out to the drummer, or setting up the green screen stuff. And I've got interviews all week and next week that, it's like 20 interviews over the next 2 days. And those are like have to take priority. And I had to do the videos for the green screen thing. So that's all like an A. And then in terms of the D category are some of those other things. Whatever it was that we were just talking about a second ago, which I forgot, that goes into either C or D. So let's have a couple more questions, but it's 2:54 and I've got to do interviews again. So let's see. Any way to get your surround mixes in a downloadable format? I would love that. I've been asking about that as well. I think when it came to the Empath Ultimate Edition, I knew that there was limitations with the medium in terms of being able to have it more readily accessible to people who don't have like a home stereo system that's set up in surround. But I also felt that the process of dipping my feet into that and learning how to do it required me just starting. So until such time that the technology catches up to the format that I'm hoping to participate in, I'm just going to keep going. And then retroactively we'll be able to have that happen. What's your favorite food? Someone asks. Probably Indian something. I like things that are comforting, lots of gravies and stuff. You are so resilient, someone says. So are you, more than you know. And thank you for that. I think we all are given right up to our max capacity of what we can handle a lot of times. But I think that you're given what you can handle. How's your Neural DSP thing going? So I heard from Neural the other day. Thank you for the donation. And they said that they're in the process of releasing their Cortex, their standalone unit, and they're a smaller company, and they've had great success with it. So they're going bananas trying to keep up with everything. So Doug, who's their guy there, whom I really like, Doug, he said, "Let us get this one finished, and then we can focus entirely on your product. So we're not." Compromising either, and I agreed to that. I thought that was cool. Could you ever put your bonus discs on vinyl? Yes, I think that's probably a good idea. But as you can probably see, even by this stream here, the amount of things that I got going on are intense. However, one thing I would also suggest to anybody who has a lot going on in their life, and this is something that I put into the same priority list as work. Anything in that A category I was speaking of a moment ago, I put this into the same category, and that is taking care of my own mental health by taking breaks from it, like going for a walk or exercise or yoga or spending some time watching TV or just playing guitar. I will relegate blocks of a very busy day to things that maybe would seem from the outside as if they serve no purpose, But the old adage that I stick to is you have to make sure your oxygen mask is on before you help the person beside you. So if the function of my work is to hopefully try and make things a little easier, a little better for people, or just give it a soundtrack that is people can hear in it some sort of truth that they can relate to. I can't function within the the realm of what it is I'm trying to do if I'm psychologically unbalanced. So I spend a good portion of the day trying to find ways to find that balance, and that helps. So again, coming off the social media really works. So I got 2 more minutes, so I'm going to say goodbye now. And next time we do a stream, I'll have it set up so it's a little bit more, I have my amp set up and I can show songs and play a little easier. But I'd like to thank you all for participating again. I'm sorry it's been a little busy, but we have the announcement coming up for the next green screen concert, and I hope that you can come to that. Again, you don't have to pay if you don't want to. It'll be really cool. It's going to be rarities, so there's a poll coming up online that will allow you to choose the songs. I took all your suggestions, or the ones that I could, from Twitter, and that's what I've included in the poll. And it's going to be October 24th. To do with your suggestions today, which I thought were great. I think the concert after that will be a Christmas telethon or something. It gives me a lot of ideas, and I think that'll be really interesting. It's 2:59. I got to go. Lots of love, my friends. Take care of yourselves, and don't allow the chaos to get you down too much. There's love in the world, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.